Sure.
I've had, I've been in business, 12 years, so there's been ups and downs.
Yeah.
I had a business partner. That partnership is no longer.
Yeah.
So, if it was, then that really tells its own story in some respects. We went our separate ways. We had different visions, different ideas about where we wanted the business to go. Mm-hmm. But the long story short is, I went from having a multi-7-figure business with a partner to the very next day, zero.
Yeah.
No customers, no money, no staff, no office, nothing. Starting from scratch.
And the last few bits sound all right.
And that was...
All right. Hey, welcome to another episode of Paul Mort Talks Shit. Today, I'm talking shit with Mr. Nick James. How are you, sir?
I'm awesome, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, my pleasure. So we're here in Birmingham, but where we're really... Is it some area of Birmingham we're in?
We're in a little village called Hampton in Arden.
Hampton in Arden.
Which is just on the outskirts of Birmingham, nice in the country.
Right in the country.
Yeah,
did you know?
In a barn.
Mate, did you know you can't say the word country without saying the word cunt?
I'd never thought of that before.
You can't. I only know that because James Smith, that's his excuse for saying the word cunt all the time. So there you go.
Thing is, the problem now, my
mum's
going to listen to this podcast,
the thing.
and she's going to hear the C-bomb like
that
3 times
is the thing
in the opening minute.
So
here's
what's crazy. Here, what a way to start. So here's what's crazy. I'm in Expert Empires HQ today, and Nick's mum. It always feels weird saying that. Your mum. That's the type of thing that when people say like
in the playground,
like an
insult.
in Newcastle we say Yama. Yeah. Like your ma's this, your ma's that. What someone said the other day, on Instagram when you get asked those funny questions, someone said like, what's the best temperature to cook shepherd's pie at? And I said, whichever temperature your ma cooks it at. What's your favourite scented candle? Your ma. So anyway,
it's basically the answer to any question. So
for you guys listening, I first met Nick in last year.
18, I think.
18.
Yeah.
Do you think?
I think it was 18.
Maybe 2018, and I was here at this very office, and I was actually on the Master Coach certification with Nick's mum, who's amazing. Shout out Nicky V. And I'd actually heard of Nick before, because Nick, as he'll explain, had flown some fucking big ballers over to the UK for events. GaryVee, he'd had Alan Sugar. I think at that point he might have had Grant Cardone over. Yep. And then Nicky V basically said, my son's coming on, he's going to teach some stuff about business for coaches. And I was like, he's going to fucking pitch here. Because
you're damn right I am.
Yeah, you did. Anyway, I was like, I'm not fucking buying this thing, whatever it is. And then Nick pointed out a couple of holes in my business. I was like, actually, he's got a fucking point here. And then obviously the rest is history. Nick, tell the guys a little bit about what you're doing right now, and then I want to rewind right back because I love your personal development story.
Yeah, cool. Well, I mean, right now, we're in an interesting time, so bear in mind, we're an events company.
Yeah.
At least from the outside, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
So best known for Expert Empires, which is a 2-day event. We run it 3 times a year. You've mentioned speakers that we've had. We've had David Goggins, Tom Bilyeu,
Paul Mort,
Harry Green, Paul Mort. Some amazing speakers on stage at that event. And effectively, that event 3 times a year has been our marketing for the core business, which is Mastermind. As you know, you're a member of our 7-figure Mastermind. We've got kicking on for 200 members in our various different high-end coaching and mentoring programs, which we call Mastermind. So what we're focused on now, really, instead of doing big events, 500, 1,000 people, Expert Empire style, we're doing much smaller, more regular events, which we always kind of did before. But like, for example, we've got an event happening. I'm pointing that way because our training centre, we've got our office building here, and then across the car park we've got the training centre, which ordinarily would seat 90 or 100 people. At the moment we're maxed out at like 25, obviously, because of social distancing.
Producer Mark is actually in there right now. Which is why you're wondering why you're not hearing his dulcet tones. he's in the training centre.
So we're running a lot more frequent, smaller number events instead of a big event every few months. Much more frequent, small number of events. And Mastermind is still really that's the bread and butter. That's the core business.
Amazing. I wasn't going to ask this question, but how is it? What's been the difference for you in, like, have you missed running big events?
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
I miss speaking at events badly.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think for me, I miss the speaking at the big event.
Yes.
A bit.
Yes.
Although I don't generally do much speaking on other people's stages.
Yes.
Generally speaking, most of my speaking is on my own stages at my own events. But I really miss the buzz, the energy. You know, you've been to Expert Empires, you've spoken a couple of 3 times there.
Yeah.
The environment that we create, you know, we have
amazing.
like parties, you know, like free bar for the Access All Areas ticket holders. We do dinners.
Yeah,
we do
the
lunches.
energy's fucking sick.
So we, you know, even though of course, you know, I like to think that the speakers we bring over and the presentations that people like you and I give are high value.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's being around a great group of people and the energy.
I don't think there's anything like what you guys do in the UK.
Yeah,
I've been all over the world with things like that, and I've never been to anything like that.
Well, that was the reason I created it.
Was it?
I'd been going. Well, you know, I've been since I was 12 years of age.
But this is what I want to get into.
Traveling all over the world.
Yeah.
Very fortunate from a very young age to be around like Tony Robbins and that kind of world. And so my standard for events is really fucking high.
Yeah.
Like, you know, at 12 years of age, I'm a luxury 5-star resort in Hawaii at a Tony Robbins event.
Yeah.
That's the standard there.
Yeah, and that's because your mum...
Because my mum was a trainer for Tony's organisation, and she basically went, look, I'm fucking off to... She didn't say fucking off, obviously. Although she does drop the odd F-bomb.
She does drop the odd F-bomb. That's why I love her so much. She doesn't drop enough.
I'm going to Hawaii for a couple of weeks to this Tony Robbins thing. Do you want to come with? Or do you want to stay at school and stay with your nan in Birmingham? I'm like, fuck school, I'm going to Hawaii. So that was the start. And so,
dude, what was it? What was your initial? You might not even be able to remember, because I can't remember what I was like when I was 12. I think I was fucking smoking weed when I was 12. But when you went to Avenue in Hawaii, you saw this fucking Tony Robbins thing. What was your whole? What was that like for you?
Genuinely, I remember when my mum. I don't remember it vivid because it's a long time ago, unfortunately now. But I remember my mum like giving me the opportunity, and I'm like, I don't really know what this is all about.
You were just glad to be out of school,
mate. I'm thinking Hawaii 5-star resort.
Yeah.
Like, I'll have some of that.
Yeah.
You know, luxury, like paradise, great weather. I'm going, look, it can't be that bad, can it? So so off we went, and like really, like for most people, you can probably recall your first exposure experience to like the world of personal development. That was mine. And so, but like I said, man, I mean, the standard. I still believe to this day that Tony is the best in the world at what he does.
Yes.
At creating an environment, an atmosphere, an experience that educates, inspires, entertains, all of those things together. Yeah. And so, you know, that's been the standard. And throughout my life, you know, not just Tony Robbins, I've studied all over the world, spent a lot of my mum's money initially, and then obviously a bit old now to ask my mum to pay for stuff. So, you know, I've spent definitely in the multiple hundreds of thousands of pounds of my own money, and lots of time traveling all over the world, learning from the best. Yeah. And so I think what you've just said is true. I went, it seems to me, and actually I'm going to give it you straight. I think in the kind of like 2016, 2017, which is when the idea for Expert Empires first came about, I was looking at the UK events industry, and I got to be honest, I wasn't liking what I was seeing. I felt like it was
Holiday Inn.
Holiday Inn, free event, pitch fest, same speakers getting rolled out time and time again. It was getting a bit boring. I felt a bit bored of it, and I think the industry, the market did as well. Yes. So the inspiration behind Expert Empires was like, let's bring the best speakers in the world to the UK, to London, where people wouldn't ordinarily get the chance to see them unless they take a lot of time and a lot of money to fly to the States.
That's what I used to have to do. It was fucking it's tiring.
And I was doing it.
Yes,
part of the reason why I created Expert Empires was selfish reasons. I was like, I don't want to have to leave my family for a week and spend thousands and thousands of pounds.
That was also part of the reason why I joined Mastermind. I'm like, fuck flying to the US.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, my vision was to create the best of what I'd experienced in the US with people like Tony Robbins. You know, I'm very fortunate now. We do quite a lot of work with Ryan Dice and his company, Digital Marketer, Traffic and Conversion Summit. So I'm due to speak at that in December. And if it goes
in December,
well, I don't know. We'll see.
Do you think you'll be swimming across the fucking ocean?
Dude, I'll do whatever it takes, man.
Throw me in that new in mush.
So you know, like, I feel fortunate. I've learned and been around a lot of these amazing events, and I went, no one does that in the UK. And so Expert Empires was created back in 2016. We ran the first one May 2017 with the vision, the idea of creating something here in the UK, in London, that you couldn't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
And mastermind the same, really. I went, look, don't get me wrong, there's loads of masterminds in the UK, there's loads of masterminds worldwide. Yeah. What I realised was that the high-end ones, in other words, like the mastermind that you're a member of, which is for people that are already established businesses, multi 6 figures, 7 figures and beyond, like most of those are all in the US. So I was like, well, let's create that in the UK. So really everything I've built over the last few years has been built on the basis of trying to do something different and fill a gap here in this market.
Yeah, I love it. And this is a question that I always thought about. What are the, because it's, when you said, I don't really speak at other people's events, I always speak on my own. I'm the other way around. Yeah. Because I fucking hate organising events.
Well, I do believe that
big ones anyway. I've run a few events with a couple of hundred people there. I'm like, this is so fucking stressful.
Yeah, when you start making a load of fucking money out of them, all of a sudden you start enjoying it a lot more. I guarantee it. But I do think that, like for me, I've always ran events. Like I started in business in 2008. Yeah. I was a freelance copywriter, so I was writing email campaigns and sales letters for clients. Yeah. And very quickly realised that was a flawed model because I was very limited on my capacity. Yes. So I started running. I did my first.
What made you get into that then? Like, how did you get into the whole copywriting thing?
I was working for an NLP training company, neuro-linguistic programming, for those that haven't heard of it, in sales. Then I did a bit of marketing for them. Yeah. And I realised that actually I had a skill set that a lot of people who are NLP practitioners, trainers, coaches needed. Yeah. So I thought, well, I'll just set up a business providing that service. Yeah. And, made some money, but went, right, if I teach this rather than just do it for people, then obviously I can grow. I can serve more people, grow my business. Started doing events in like 2009 at a very small level. I think we had 8 people at the first one. So, we'll get 10 times that now to some of our, or 100 times even, at our biggest events. Yeah. So, I think the idea of running events initially appealed to me. I definitely experienced, like you have, the hard work,
let's just the organisation stage.
Well, but the thing is, and again, I suppose what I was getting to is, I think no matter what business or what industry you're in, you've got to stick to a strategy that your strengths play to. Yes. Stick to what you're world class at. Yes. And I'm really good at the marketing, the promotion of events. I've always been good at that. I've been around the industry since I was 12. Yes. So it comes naturally to me. Yes. When it comes to running the show and putting on a great show, it's instinctive to me because I've grown up on it. Yeah. So I know what looks good, feels good. I know how to create the energy, the environment. Yeah. I'm very fortunate. My mum, who you mentioned, Nikki, works with our organisation. She's been around Tony Robbins events forever. Yeah. Yeah. So like we've got a lot of skill set here in my company on how to deliver world-class events. Yes. So it'd be foolish for me to only go and speak at others. Yeah. So, I've created a model which I've created a model which I think works for the audience. Yes. And it's financially viable and works for me. Yes. And that I do believe it's like a partnership that works. And don't get me wrong, I suppose I would speak at other events, but I have had some experiences where I go and speak at other events. Either what the event stands for probably isn't aligned with my values, and so it's probably not a good fit. And I go, I can control everything in my own event. Yeah. I can control the tech, the audience,
when you go on,
like when I go on, when I come off, I've got complete control, and I know what I need to do to give a world-class experience to people. Yeah. When I go into somebody else's event, it's much more difficult to do that. Yeah. So, and it's not that I wouldn't speak at other events. I just haven't really pursued that. Yeah. It's not really something that I don't enjoy it as much. I got to be honest.
Really?
When on the rare occasion I do get invited to speak at somebody else's
because I'm the opposite.
I go on and I'm a bit like, these people don't know who the fuck I am. Yeah. And now I've got to do something to get their attention and convince them. I'm like, look, man, if somebody's paid between 100 and 1,000 quid to come and spend a couple of days with me, they're already convinced. Yes. I don't need to do anything special. I just need to be me. So I find it much more comfortable, really. I suppose, but putting on the big shows, I love it, mate. It's like a drug. I'm addicted, and I'm missing it right now.
Do you think putting on the big show for you? Do you think you like the putting on the show rather than the speaking itself?
I like both. I definitely, mate. I can't.
Could you ever run an event and not speak?
Nah.
Did you not?
I can't explain, and I can't really explain the feeling. you've been at Expert Empires, like those few minutes before we start and the music's pumping and the anticipation's there and I'm going on to open it and I'm nervous. Like, look, I mean, I suppose
that's a buzz that you can't really get that buzz anywhere else, right? You don't get that buzz on fucking Zoom.
Listen, I can't sing. I'm not particularly good at any sport, individually. So I go, the chance of me becoming the next Tyson Fury or the next fucking famous singer are zero. That's how I get my buzz version of that. Yes. And I love it. And by the way, like, maybe if you've been to my events, you might agree or disagree. I think I'm really good at it. Yeah. So I go, I can do that, and my belief in my ability to do it at a world-class level is very high. So I think it meets my needs personally, and it's a great business model. It works.
Yeah. What's the hardest part of it?
Of events? Yeah. The big events?
Yeah.
What's the hardest part of it? It depends whether you think at the start.
What's the most challenging part of it?
I think, well, I'll answer both ways. At the start, like writing big checks.
Yeah.
And taking big risks, and like there was no guarantee that was going to pan out. I had to really back myself. Yeah, and so I think the first Expert Empires event we spent kicking on for $200,000 just on event costs, speaker fees, venue, AV.
That's marketing. A big risk.
Yeah, $200,000, which I didn't have, by the way. Yeah, like I had to play the game to.
Do you think? And this is a legit. I think I know the answer. Do you think that having the background that you'd had, the kind of upbringing that you had, being exposed to all of that, do you think that it must have helped you to make that big risk? Like,
yeah, I think from
there's many people that would be very, 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 very averse to that risk. There's some people that wouldn't even risk $2,000, never mind 200.
There's some people that, and this is where you got to know your own strengths. You got to be self-aware enough to go, am I a risk taker? Am I risk averse? And it's not black and white. It's like, to what degree of risk am I comfortable taking?
Yes.
And it wasn't my first event.
Yeah.
So I had a track record. I had some previous data to go on to make the decision. And I'm naturally probably nearer to the extreme of risk taking than I am to risk averse. Yeah. Like I thrive in risk. I don't really fear it that much. Yeah. So, but to answer your question, you went like, what's the hardest part? To start off with, it was hard, not because I was fearful or it was risky, but actually because everybody in the industry told me I was stupid and then it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Because there's a set way of doing things over here.
Yes.
And you're now disrupting and doing something different, and that's not the norm. And so there was a lot of, I definitely came in for a bit of flack, but more than that, it was people that I know, that I respect, that I trust, going, I'm not sure this is a good idea. I think here's the reasons why you shouldn't do it. And this is where I go, I think mentorship, I think getting advice, I think getting support from other people is smart.
Yes.
But sometimes you got to trust that gut instinct and back yourself. Yeah. And that's what I did. And I think today, I mean, you said what's the most challenging thing? What's the hardest thing about doing it? I think today, the hardest thing about doing it now, it's a bit like...
Mate, because there's so much goes into it as well, Yeah. Like, I don't think people appreciate... when people they'll text you... I get texts the day before saying I can't come now. I'm like... You clearly got no can I get a refund? You've clearly got no fucking idea what goes into putting in a fucking event.
Yeah, funnily enough, that wasn't what I was going to say is the biggest,
was it not?
The hardest bit. Although you know what? That's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
It's a niggle.
Yes.
But it's not a massive problem. The biggest problem now actually is, I am very grateful and fortunate that we've put on amazing events, had great speakers. It's like, I've got to keep raising the bar. Like, if I don't keep... Now, I got pressure now, because I go, like, I can't put on an Expert Empires event and lower that standard. Yeah, so I remember, like, there was one of my good friends who you know as well, he's in the events industry, he's spoken at a lot of our events too, and he was like, mate, your biggest problem is, how do you top that? Like, after the last one...
We've had a little bit of this with the podcast.
How do you top it? You same with your guests. Like, I said this to you at the start, like, Tyson Fury, what a fucking way to start.
Yeah.
And I was like, here's your biggest problem. You've got to top it. Now, fortunately, you can top it because you got me on. You got me on today. I hope Tyson don't listen to this. He's like, who the fuck's this cocky little bummy bastard? But yeah.
So let me tell you about this then. So we've talked a little bit about the challenges, a little bit about how challenging it was at the start, a little bit at the end, and we've talked about being successful, but what have been some of there's got to be some, because on this show, we're not all about being positive. There's got to be some gnarly shit that's happened along the way. What have been some of your biggest challenges?
Yeah, there's a lot.
I know one that me and you've never really spoke about, but I've heard you mention it a couple of times.
Go on then.
Like it's some business partner thing that went.
Yeah, so look, I've had, I've been in business, 12 years, so there's been ups and downs.
Yeah.
I had a business partner. That partnership is no longer.
Yeah.
So, if it was, then that
Yes.
probably tells its own story in some respects. We went our separate ways. We had different visions, different ideas about where we wanted the business to go. Mm-hmm. But the long story short is, I went from having a multi-7-figure business with a partner to the very next day, 0.
Yeah.
No customers, no money, no staff, no office, nothing. Starting from scratch.
And the last few bits sound all right.
And that was... But I'd tell you what was interesting. I'll give it to you straight. So from an ego perspective, since, we're not just talking about all the success and that.
Yes.
The ego perspective, the biggest lesson from that experience was, and this was 2015.
Yeah.
So end of June 2015, we just had probably on paper, like from the outside, our most successful period in business ever. Revenue was flying through the door, but there was some fundamental flaws in the business. Let's just say that. Yeah. And so we decided to part company. Yeah. Long story short, he continued running that business. Yeah. I left with 0, with nothing. Yeah. And what I learned from it was all of a sudden, I realised that for years my own self-worth had been directly connected to the success or failure of my business. And so I realised that I'd gone from feeling great about myself, from an ego, a success, an achievement point of view, to all of a sudden, literally the next fucking day, like all of that disappeared and I felt unfulfilled and I didn't feel good enough and I had all this bad shit feeling. Yeah. And I'm going, if I'm feeling this shit, it must be because I had all of my self-worth attached to that business. That ain't healthy, man. Yeah. I mean, we were talking before we set the gear up and that about, people buying stuff, cars, watches, whatever it is, are you buying it because you want it? Yeah. Which I don't think there's anything wrong with. Yeah, nah. Are you buying it because it makes you happy? In other words, if I don't have it, I'm not happy. Yeah. That's a problem.
Or are you buying it to try and make you happy?
To try and make you happy when you're not already happy. Or you're buying it to impress other people. Yeah. For me, look, there's nothing wrong with spending money on stuff that you want. Yeah. If it makes you feel good. Yeah. Where it's a problem is if you're spending money on stuff that makes you feel good and without it, you're not going to feel good. Yes. That's a warning sign for me. Yes. So I think for me, I had all my self-worth, my ego, everything was attached to the business. Yeah. And then I lost it overnight, literally. Yeah. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me because, first of all, I had to start from the ground up. Yeah. This was 5 years ago, so it's not that long. Yeah. And within 2 years, I'd created expert empires. I'd probably achieved more in that 2 years than any other point in my business history. And so it proved to me, that first of all, I'm capable of creating something out of nothing. Yes. And, and also what it did is it removed the fear. Like literally, like today, we've rebuilt now over the last 5 years, multi-7-figure business. We've got, amazing clients, staff, everything. It's incredible. Now, I wouldn't want to lose it. Let me just get that out there. Of course I wouldn't. But I'm not fearful of losing it because I've already lost it all once and I managed to build it again. Yeah. So do you know? And that, by the way, when you said, when you asked me earlier about risk and how risk-taking, risk-averse are you, I think that experience made me more of a risk-taker than I even was before because the fear of failure has almost disappeared. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to fail. No one wants to fail. Yeah. But I go, if the worst happened and it all fell to pieces, it doesn't matter because I could start again tomorrow because I already did it once.
Do you know me? I feel exactly the same as about a lot of things. Whenever anything's like, wow, that must be stressful. This events thing and this COVID thing, everyone's like, what if this, what if that? I'm like, listen, I've been through being fucking suicidal. Yeah. I've been through way fucking worse. It's never going to
get that bad again.
Somebody calling me a name on the internet. Somebody fucking saying, no, I don't want to join your program. Or someone saying, oh, your program shit, your book shit, this is shit. Yeah. Or Boris saying, listen, like, you can't put an event on for more than 30 people. I'm like, it's not convenient, but I'm like, fuck me. I've been through way worse than that.
Yeah, it's not the worst.
Nah, so you guys listening
I feel like once you've had the worst case scenario, everything from that, everything from that point on is good stuff, you know. Like once you've been standing on the edge of a cliff, suicidal, like it ain't gonna get any worse than that. I mean, I mean,
there's only one thing that's worse than that, and that's actually jumping, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've never been to that place. But like I've been to some pretty bad places in my business career, my personal life, and you know, when you've been that low, everything from that point on has to be a blessing, and it's easier, no matter where you are in the future, to look back on that. And you know, some people say, I never look back into the past, always look forward into the future. I'm like, actually, I think looking back into the past can be a good thing to really see how far you've come, and to go like, hey, you know,
and that's where all your lessons and wisdom are from there anyway.
Of course.
Yeah. And I don't know, I think it actually becomes a bit corny sometimes, but I don't think there's anyone that's successful that hasn't had something like that.
Nobody. It's almost like, you know, you see the most successful business people, entrepreneurs on the planet. It's almost like, you know, they've got the stripes.
It's like a prerequisite, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
Fucking up failure is a prerequisite.
You have to have, I mean, you know, like all the best known entrepreneurs have all been bankrupt or lost it all or had these stories. And almost like, and here's the reason why I think it is like a prerequisite, is because the only way to avoid that kind of setback is to not push hard enough, not take the risks in the first place. And it's like the greatest risks are always the areas where you've got the potential for the greatest reward, but also the greatest failure. And you'll never get the greatest success unless you take a certain degree of risk. Just can't.
I love it. And actually, I was smiling while I was saying that, because when I speak now, I make that little joke at the start. I haven't got that. I've never been bankrupt. I've never been fucking homeless. My parents are still together. I've got both my arms. I've got both my legs. I was never bullied at school. I've never lived in escape. The only thing that's happened to me is this: I've been fucking rock bottom before.
Yeah.
And then, because you know what I also get, mate? We're talking about money before. What I also get is this comment on my clip video. People are like, "Oh, well, you had loads of money." Like, well, it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, but let me talk about that a sec, because I remember years ago, I'd always hear people say,
money doesn't make you happy.
Money doesn't make you happy. Yeah. Here's the thing. Look, I'm not saying that you can't get that lesson unless you've experienced it, but here's been my experience personally. I never understood that until I had money and I wasn't happy.
Yes.
Because then it was personal experience.
Yes.
It wasn't theoretical. I'm listening to somebody else tell me their experience. It was, I've lived it. I've had success, had money, and not been happy. Therefore, I've experienced at a personal level. The two aren't linked.
Yeah.
And then it allows you to be free of it and go.
You're probably the only person that got the Breitling watch thing. I've told a couple of people about this. So the other week, guys, Lesley went into the Metro Centre, and I caught her. Like, she went on this secret little squirrel mission. It was fucking obvious. I caught her coming out of the Breitling shop, and I made her take the watch back. It was for my birthday, because I know that watch might be nice, but I'm not really into that whole thing. Yeah. And I've told a few people, they're like, what? But then you were like, oh yeah, I get you, and you've got a fucking great watch on.
Well, here's why I get it. I get it because I've had nice things and I've had a lot of money and I haven't been happy.
Yeah.
I've also had nice things and had a lot of money and I have been happy.
Yes.
So the two are separate. Let's just get that out of the way. They're not linked.
Yeah.
Money doesn't equal happiness, but also, here's the other bit, not having money doesn't equal not happiness either. So
yes,
it's like,
yes.
You can have money and be happy.
Yeah.
You can have no money and be happy.
Yes.
You can have, you get my point, right?
Yeah.
So, and when you mentioned the watch thing, I was like, look, I get it for you.
Yeah.
Because I was like, look, do you want it? And you were like, not really. So I go, well, if you don't want it, don't have it. There's no point. But also, if you do want it, there's nothing wrong with that either.
Nah.
But I get for you personally, you were like, look, you wear two watches.
I've got a Whoop band on, which this measures me recovery.
Yeah.
My heart rate variability, how hard I should train.
Yeah.
Which is important at my age, you know.
Yeah.
And the other one, basically, it doesn't even have a fucking strap on it, look.
Yeah.
Is it counts me steps.
But that's
a Breitling doesn't do either of those things. And it's fucking $4,000. It doesn't do either of those things.
And so here's the point.
Yeah.
What you're really saying is for you, Paul Mort,
I value health.
You value not just health, but specifically counting steps and recovery from training more than you do wearing a Breitling watch. Yeah. Which is fine. And by the way, that doesn't make you right and me wrong or me right and you wrong. Yeah. I value having a nice fucking watch over counting my steps.
Yeah. And then I hear loads of people saying it's a great investment, isn't it? Loads of people are like, oh, watch is a great investment. But I don't know. Well, I don't get that unless you intend on selling it.
Well, it depends, obviously, on what what brand it is.
I think it's the Rollie that's
and
isn't there a waiting list for a Rollie?
Resale value and how limited edition.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert, by the way.
Yeah.
You should have asked Rob more about this.
Is he an expert, Rob? Is he?
Mate, Rob knows more about watches than anybody I know.
Really?
He's advised me quite a bit on it.
Yeah.
So the point is, though, I go,
a voice note.
By the way, you go, it's a good investment. All right. There's plenty of other places you can put your money, which are also a good investment, and they're a better investment.
I'd put it in.
They're a better investment than a watch. So, have the watch because you want it.
Yeah.
And if it happens to be a good investment, great.
Bonus.
Have the one that's a better investment than buying the one that isn't.
Yeah.
But I bought this watch because I wanted it. It wasn't a good investment, but I didn't care because I wanted it. I knew that it wouldn't make me happier than I was.
Yeah.
But I wanted it because I like the watch.
Yeah.
And it was, and by the way, it was symbolic for me as well, because when I was at pretty much rock bottom, by the way, and I don't really speak about this, there was definitely a time in my life where I was not in a good place, financially, emotionally, any of those things. And I actually went, I've never told this story.
You're a Go World exclusive.
Yeah, I love how you cause people to share this stuff.
Chris Ramsey
How do you do that?
I don't know. Just talk shit.
So I went to an event in Mallorca.
Mallorca?
Yeah, I went to an event in Mallorca to learn about buying and selling businesses, which, by the way, was brilliant. And I bought and sold businesses. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
But I was like not in a good place.
Yeah.
Like, mate, I can't believe I'm going to tell this story, but I'm going there. I'd literally, the night before, been on the biggest bender of my entire life, wasted a shitload of money.
What was his name? Sorry, bro.
Wasted a shitload of money, rolled in at a stupid time in the morning.
Yeah.
And literally was in that place of like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Then I had to get on a plane and go to Mallorca for this event.
Oh, shit.
And it was great timing because it got me away and it got me to
change
really,
your environment,
really evaluate my life. Anyway, so the guy running the event, his name's Jeremy Harbour, and he's very, very good at buying and selling businesses.
Yeah.
And he had this watch on, the one that I'm wearing today.
Really?
And I remember going to him. I love that watch. And he actually I put it on, and I went, that watch is fucking incredible. Took a photo of it, and I went, I'm going to get myself into a position where I can afford to buy that watch.
That's cool.
And I got myself in the position and bought it. So it was symbolic for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't like for other people. It wasn't because it's going to make me happier than I already am.
Yes.
It was symbolic for me to go.
It's kind of like getting a tattoo. I got tattoos for that reason.
Symbolic, yeah. So when I was, I wasn't on the edge of a cliff like you were, but I was in a really bad place. And so, when I managed to, and it was around the time where the business was, the business partnership was splitting and all that. Yeah. And, within a year, 18 months, got myself back into a good financial position and rewarded myself.
Let's hit rewind then. You don't think you're getting out of it that easily. Well, let's talk about that then. 18 months before that, when you weren't in that good place, financially, emotionally, etc. What else had led to that? Was there drinking? Was it just a business failure, or was it?
Well, here's the thing. The business was probably the symptom.
Yes.
No, actually, that's not the right way around to describe it. The business was the cause.
Yes.
But actually then it caused a lot of symptoms to show up. So it then manifested in drinking. Yeah. It then manifested in making bad life choices. It then manifested in wasting money that I didn't have on shit I didn't need.
Yes.
It then manifested in all these bad choices because I had low self-esteem.
Yes.
That was the truth. I had low self-esteem.
Yeah.
And because
all you were trying to do there was making yourself feel better, right?
Also was. Yeah. And so I was looking furiously for something to make me feel better.
Yeah.
And so, it took me down a path which was not good. And, you had your version of rock bottom. I guess this was mine.
Yeah.
And you know what's cool? I haven't thought about that in months.
Really?
And it doesn't really occur to me at all. And I haven't shared it on a single podcast, on a single stage, with a single other person.
Thank you, man.
I love that it's just come out, and now there's going to be tens of thousands of people that know about it.
They'll be asking about it.
I'd never really thought about how symbolic it was. I mean, I did, but in truth, like that was my rock bottom. Really, I was in a bad place.
Yeah, in Mallorca was a turning.
It got me out.
Just think about it. If you're hungover and you're being on a bender, there could have been like you didn't have to go to that. Like, think about that. Mate, that could have been.
I remember it. I dragged myself to the airport, and I was not good.
Yeah.
Like, literally not good. I dragged myself to the airport, like, fucking hoodie, sunglasses, like, got on the flight, felt like death. If you've ever been hungover on a flight, it's the worst place in the world to be.
After Vegas as well.
Oh yeah, I've done that on more than one occasion. Got to Mallorca, got to where I was staying, and literally went to bed, and I slept for like fucking whatever, like 18 hours or something before I got up, and then the thing all started. So it was almost like going rehab.
Really?
I've never been to rehab, but I guess that's what it's probably like. And by the way, I'm not going to sit here and bullshit and say that was the magic moment and then since then my life's been sunshine and rainbows.
Yes.
Because it hasn't. And I've made plenty of bad fucking choices since then.
Oh, let's talk about some of them. Let's talk about some of them.
I'm not saying it was a turning point and never did anything bad again. And so, and you know this because I've shared this with you and I have shared this with other people and my podcast listeners as well. Made the decision at the start of the year just to give up drinking. For the whole 12 months I went, I'm going to stop drinking because that was always my vice. That was always my default. When I felt good, I'd celebrate. When I felt shit, I'd commiserate. When there was any fucking good excuse, I'd just do it. And you know, the truth is, enjoyed it, but I realised that it was holding me back. I realised that it was sapping my energy, my time. And the strongest reason actually was I got to the end of last year, best year ever in business, ever, on a number of levels. And I went, how do I top that? Which, funnily enough, is what we talked about with the events. I went,
you think that might be anything
I'm going to need two things. If I'm going to top that, if I'm going to go next level this year, I'm going to need more time, more energy. How do I get more time, more energy? There's only one way that I could do that. There was probably more than one way I could do it. There was one very obvious way that by doing that one thing would make the biggest difference.
Didn't you read a book or something that got you?
Yeah, I read a book called The One Thing by Gary Kessler, and there's a co-author that I always forget the name of. I actually listened to the audiobook that was recommended to me by my coach. And I went, right, what's the question that changed my life last year? I've had a number of different occasions. I went, what's the one thing that would make everything else easy or unnecessary? I went, stop drinking for the year. That's going to make getting out of bed in the morning, training in the gym, getting myself in the right mindset, having time, energy for the business, for the team, for the clients, for the kids, for Nat, for my wife. All of that one thing is going to make everything else a lot easier than it would be. And best decision I ever made.
Mate, we talk about this a lot. Like, we talk about this boozing thing a lot because I think for a lot of people it's a big challenge for them. How have you managed that? Because that hasn't been easy, has it? Or has it?
It's been a piece of piss.
Has it?
And I know that's not the answer you expected.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Let me tell you why.
Leverage.
Couple of things. One, it was the right time. I definitely am in no position to start lecturing people about why they shouldn't be drinking. Look, I've drank more in the last fucking 18 years than most people drink in their entire life. So, maybe you might have had a good go. But I'm not in a position, and I'm also not saying that I'm never going to drink again. I'm not in that place. So I'm definitely not in a position to lecture. Here's why it's been easy. Because I made the decision, and it was for me. It was for me, and of course it was also for the business and my family, but it was for me first and foremost. I made the decision, and then the second thing, and this is the reason why more people don't achieve their goals or I guess follow through on the New Year's resolutions or the promises they make or the standards they set for themselves, is I went all out on leverage. Yes, I had leverage, but I didn't have that much leverage because I go, well, I'd already had a successful business. So I go, I could have a successful business.
Like nothing was broken, was it?
Correct.
I think that's the thing, you had nothing broken.
And by the way, last year was great. Great year. So it was like, well, if I don't drink, it's going to be even better, but that's not enough leverage. So I went to the only place that I know I won't let myself down, and I went massive on public accountability. So I made the decision. First of all, as soon as I made the decision, I knew that I'd back out of it if I didn't do something. So I told my coach, who's amazing, holds me accountable. I told my wife. I started telling people in my peer group, my mates, and what was great was they all fucking laughed at me and told me I couldn't do it. Now, that to me is like red flag.
Fuck you,
I go, right, now I'm going to do it just to rub it in your face and show that I'm stronger and more capable than you are. So, I had a load of people say, you won't do it, don't be an idiot, like all that sort of shit. And then I went next level, I went public accountability, so I told people about it I did an event early January, told people from stage. When I've been interviewed on podcasts, I talk about it. Posted about it on social, all that. And I'm like, I would look like such a dickhead now, such a failure, such a fraud if I didn't follow through.
Yeah.
I've got no choice.
Yeah.
And it's been the easiest thing I've ever done. Honestly, it's not been hard.
Really?
No one can believe that.
Yeah.
But I think I understand myself well enough to know what motivates me.
Yeah.
And I'm like the pride.
Yes.
Or the I guess the shame of failing publicly would be so great.
There's a bit of fear there, isn't there?
Painful.
It's
to
fear,
me.
isn't it?
Yeah. So honestly, it's not even been a consideration.
Really?
Yeah. There's not one time where I've had to fight to not drink. Or I just go, mate, it's done. Literally, from the second I made the decision and told everyone,
that's mad.
It was done.
Yeah.
Then the year is more of, honestly, I genuinely
Do you think COVID might have helped?
The years of formality for me.
Really?
Like, literally, people early in January, they're like, I don't know how, do you think you'll be able to do it? I'm like, think I'll be able to do it. It's done. Like, straight up, in my head, it's done, and now the time is just a formality.
Yeah.
Has COVID made it easier? I
think for a lot of people it made it harder.
So, you know what? I think it depends on the individual.
Depends if you're a social drinker or an at-home drinker.
Yeah, and I go, for me, social. So you could argue easier.
Yeah.
But a load of people have gone, like, you couldn't have picked a better year to do it because, less temptation to go out and with your mates and all that.
Yes.
And then also I've had the flip side where people have gone, you couldn't have picked a worse time to do it because, what were you doing when you were sitting around the house in COVID and you couldn't leave? Yeah. So I go, it isn't, I truly believe.
I would have been that would have been me.
Yeah.
Harder staying in.
Well, yeah, but I truly believe that, look, it's not easier or more difficult based upon external influences.
Yes.
It just is. And by the way, because I do get a little bit narked when people go, oh, well, it's been easy for you this year because you haven't been able to go out. I go, hold on a second.
Harder for...
Mate, I did a week in Vegas.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Like, that is the worst place on the planet to go if you're trying to not drink and do bad shit. I did, I'm a big Villa fan.
Yeah.
We got to Wembley for the Carabao Cup final. That was February. Went down to that. Normally that'd be big boozy weekend with my mates. So look, I feel like there's been enough tests that it wasn't easy. And like I said, because I was resolved.
Were you still getting shit off your mates for not drinking, or was it?
I think at first a little bit, but when they realised I was serious, which they did pretty quickly, they were just like, they just accepted it.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not saying I'm never going to drink again, but I tell you what, it's changed my life, and you can never look into the future, but I don't think I will ever go back to drinking the volume or the regularity that I did. That's worth saying. It's not like I was a fucking full-on alcoholic and drinking every day. I wasn't drinking all day. I wasn't drinking every day, and I wasn't drinking all day. So it's like it was more binging Friday, Saturday nights, whatever.
Yes.
So and also the greatest blessing when I made the decision and I told my wife. She's amazing, most supportive person in the world. I actually interviewed her for my podcast last week. I was inspired by you and Lesley. I think that was a great idea to do that, so I did the same. And as soon as I told her I was doing it, straight away she went, "I'll do it with you."
Really?
And I went, honestly, babe, you don't have to.
Yes.
The reason I'm telling you isn't because I want you to do it with me. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for us. I'm doing it for our family, for our business. Yeah. You don't have to. Yeah. And she went, no, I want to do it because I want to do it for me and I want to support you. And that did definitely make it easier.
Yeah. Yeah. No booze at home.
Well, yeah, there's no temptation. Not that it would have mattered, but we weren't big at home drinkers anyway, but we have a nice meal at home. We definitely crack open a bottle of wine. Yeah. And so, we would go out for dinner together and cocktails and all that. We do that. That's what we do for fun. And by the way, still, we went out Saturday just gone, lovely dinner, nice restaurant.
What are you drinking instead?
So,
you're not on the mocktail thing, are you?
So Nat has an alcohol-free cocktail thing. I just have sparkling water.
Do you?
With food.
Yeah. Mate, here's a question for you.
I like the alcohol-free beers.
Yeah. Do you?
I've
never had one because I don't like the taste of beer.
Well, if you don't like the taste
I'll drink beer to get drunk.
Yeah, but I like the taste of beer. So I play golf, love golf, and middle of the summer, sunny outside, coming off the golf course, everyone's having a beer. That's probably the one place more than anywhere where I'd miss it. Yeah. Have an alcohol-free beer. Yeah. And actually, some of them, I think the standards have gone up. They taste great. They do the job. I can be there for an hour, have a bit of banter with the lads, and then I get in the car and go home because everyone's getting pissed. And let's face it, there's nothing worse than being the only sober one there when everyone's pissed.
No.
So alcohol-free beers are good. But we go out for a nice meal. Ordinarily, we'd have the wine matching with the food, and we just haven't had it.
We don't have that in South Shields.
We don't have
that in South Shields. There's no like that.
Birmingham's got loads of great
Cosmopolitan.
restaurants. But and by the way, we actually talked about this on Saturday night and was like, will we, after this year, go to a nice restaurant and have the wine matching? Probably.
Yes.
But we actually said, we went, you know what? Like, this is going to sound like, it'll be embarrassing to do this, but we're going to go, we'll have the wine matching, but we'll have it for one and we'll share it. Like, people are going to look at us and go, these poor bastards, these poor bastards can't even afford the wine matching. It's like, no, the reason is because we don't want to consume that much alcohol. But I like the idea, the taste of it with the food. Like, definitely I missed that a little bit. It does complement really nicely.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're trying to, I guess what we will try and do is get the upside of it without taking on a load of alcohol.
Mate, what's your opinion on this? Do you think sparkling water makes your mouth dry?
Do I think sparkling water makes your mouth dry?
Yeah. I've asked this of almost every podcast host because Mac reckons it does. Producer Mac said, "Oh, it makes your mouth dry." I'm like, what the fuck? When I asked Chris Ramsey, he lost his shit, was going off about sparkling water. He was so passionate about how much he hates it.
So I used to hate sparkling water. Like, I didn't see the point, didn't like it.
Yes.
But when I actually did dry January a few years ago, and I was like, I want a replacement. And, part of the reason for doing dry January was wanting to get in really good shape. Like everyone, drank too much, ate too much over Christmas. Was like, bang, want to get in the gym, want to get in good shape. So I didn't even want to take on, like, any bad food, bad drink. So I went, so I experimented. So Chris Ramsey, who hates sparkling water, here's the challenge for him. Try sparkling water, loads of ice, and wedges of fresh lime. That is nice. That is nice.
That's interesting.
So it's kind of like a sparkling, fruity, like, it tastes much better than, like, sparkling water on its own. Yeah, I agree. It doesn't taste like, it's no good.
He said he was on Saturday Kitchen with James Martin or someone like that, whatever Saturday Kitchen is now, and they gave him a sparkling water and he sent it back.
Well, no, I would say get me some ice, lots of ice, and some wedges of fresh lime. Bang it in there. I'm in.
Oh, I mean,
it's really nice.
I might be in on that thing.
Try it, man.
So listen, let's talk about, because I know kind of what you do here, but I think it's important for all the entrepreneurs listening in, right? I get asked all the time, how do you switch off?
Yeah.
Like, what's your thing, golf?
Look, I am more than willing to hold my hands up and tell you where I'm not very good, or I'm struggling, or I'm failing. I'm an open book. When it comes to switching off, I will tell you, it's the one thing that I've always been really good at.
You're good at switching off?
Yeah.
Really?
I can check out pretty quickly, pretty easily. Yeah. I don't know why. I've just always been quite good at it.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I've got a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
If you think about it, I've got a lot of different strategies for switching off.
Yeah.
So like, big into sports and football, as you know, big Villa fan. So, like, when I'm watching football, I'm absorbed in that.
Yes.
It's a good, also I'm fortunate that I've got some amazing friends, colleagues in the business world.
Yeah.
But I've also got some amazing friends who are not in the business world.
Yeah, me too.
And so, we'll hang out, watch football, and they don't, because they don't know about anything about
the world. They don't talk shop.
Well, they don't know anything about it,
yes.
so they can't really.
Yes.
So they don't know how to talk about it. So we just talk about the football, or sport, or family, or whatever. We talk about normal shit. Yeah. So that's helpful, I think, for me, that I've got that outlet.
Yeah.
Love the sport, play a lot of golf, love that. Bit obsessed with golf, and been having lessons this year because I really want to get my handicap down.
Did it get worse when you had lessons?
At first.
I remember I used to play golf.
I was really struggling the start of this year.
Where?
So actually, I think it wasn't that difficult.
Couldn't get any worse.
Get improved, yeah. But no, I've been much better since I've had lessons. So what I'm saying is, I find it quite easy to. I've got a lot of different strategies, a lot of different ways to switch off.
Do you know what I think? I think this, right? I think what you're good at and what I'm good at is, and what a lot of people's guys don't get is, you're essentially not really switching off, you're switching on to something else. That's what I think. I think a lot of entrepreneurs just try and relax.
Mate,
we can't do that.
I can't. No, that's a really, really good distinction. Yeah. My wife takes the piss out of me. I'm hopeless at, like,
do nothing.
Doing
me
nothing. Now, the thing is, though, my version of doing nothing, she hates as well. So, like, she hates, I love on a Sunday, for example. Like, both my kids play football, so basically Saturday morning, Sunday morning, they got matches, all that. I love getting home Sunday lunchtime, Sunday afternoon, and
getting the match on,
doing nothing. Yeah. But I'm not doing nothing because I'm watching the football, and I've got stuff.
Do you get sent in a different room or not? I get sent in a different room now. Yeah. If you're watching that, you go in a different room, or she's in there watching fucking YouTube.
So we've actually got the TV we've got in the main lounge.
Yeah.
BT Sport's only hooked up to that TV, so if it's a match on BT Sport, I get the main lounge anyway.
Yes.
But I don't really care, man. As long as
they don't show League One. As long as I can be left alone. They don't show League One on BT Sports. I'm all right.
Yeah, Sunderland.
Yeah, shite.
No, but I think, I never do nothing. Mm-hmm. But I like to relax and focus on something, football, play golf, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's having something to fill the...
It's a cool distinction, that, isn't it? That you're not trying to just... Businessmen trying to switch off. I think that's why they often end up drinking.
I've never gone like meditation and that.
Yeah.
Not for me. Yeah. Like, by the way, my version of that is sleep. I go, if I really want to switch off and not do anything...
That's what I think as well. That's what I think as well.
Don't have a sleep.
But even then, your brain's still fucking working. Because how many times do you try and have an app then get an idea?
Yeah, it's where your best creativity comes from.
It is.
But one of the things that I think on switching off that's been helpful, I've recently started doing this, is getting phone and laptop and everything off.
Yeah.
9:15 is my deadline.
Is it?
Yeah.
I try and have 8 PM and I have to put it in the car. That's how bad I am.
Yeah, just airplane. I
can't do that.
You're not disciplined.
I'm a fuck. Imagine that, mate. Imagine me saying, it's like for me that, having the phone there, I remember the other day.
It's like me stopping drinking and having an ice cold pint of beer on the side going, are you sure you don't want it?
It's like going into a titty bar and not looking at the tits. I use that analogy all the time.
So put the phone in the car, yeah.
I have to, because I remember the other day, I went to Cafe Nero. I've got a Cafe Nero right next to where office is. And there was 3, I came back with 3 coffees. And my phone went off in my pocket. I got a text. And it fucking killed us.
Not being able to look at it.
Not being able to look at it.
Hey,
so mate, I'm pretty fucking bad for that. So that'll probably be one of my big things next year. Actually, is get a handle on the phone use, because it's pretty fucking naughty. I've got one last question for you. Who been your all-time Villa 11? This is I've just lost fucking 99% of my audience there, but I want to know who'll be a goalkeeper.
11. What, you want the full 11?
I want the full 11, just off the top of your head.
All right, Bosnich in goal.
Yes.
Got to be.
Yeah.
You bear in mind, all time. At my age, it's probably going to be predominantly 90s.
Yeah.
And probably not anything recent. Because
I think I've seen a bit of this, actually. I think I've seen a bit of your all-time 11. I'm not sure. Who's right back? Who's right back? Earl Barrett.
Right back.
Neil Cox.
Would be... Mate, your knowledge of...
Maybe not just football is phenomenal.
Better than me. Chrissy Price.
Chris Price, wow.
Left back, Staunton, all day long.
Yeah.
Centre backs, got to be Paul McGrath, obviously.
Yes.
It's a given. And I'm going to say Martin Larson from my generation.
Yes,
he was a beast.
Yes, he was,
Grealish has got to be in there.
Got
to be.
100%.
So he's got to be in the 10. I'd probably go Tony Daly, left wing.
Really? See, I didn't think you'd choose Tony Daly.
Merson's got to be in the middle as well.
Really?
He was class.
I mean, I was supposed to be speaking at an event this year with Merson.
Really? Yeah, he's class, man. York, Dean Saunders.
No Agbonlahor?
Nah.
No, he's
not even close.
Really?
Not even close. York, I'm going 3 up top. You know, modern. York, Dean Saunders, Dalian Atkinson.
Dalian Atkinson.
Beast of a 3.
No Peter Crouch?
Nah.
No.
I rate him. Yeah. I actually want to get him on my podcast.
Really?
Yeah. You should get him on this. Be good.
I probably could.
It'd be good.
He's doing the circuit, isn't he?
Maybe we could do a buy one get one free, me and you. Yeah. So
as if I'd pay him.
But then he finds out that I wouldn't have him in my Villa 11, so I got no chance now.
Mate, you could probably get someone like Tony Daly.
Yeah.
Those guys.
Maybe.
Mate, thank you so much for coming on, Mr. Nick James. Thank you.
Me, mate.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.